Hello and welcome back to Empyrion Galactic Survival. We're on Alpha 9, the experimental build. If you watched my Alpha 9 video recently, you'll know that Alpha 9 is a massive curveball to how we're used to playing Empyrion. Oh boy, yeah, they've changed some things, and you guys aren't entirely happy about that. Oh my lord. Yeah, like I thought. I mean, I did say I thought there would be a bit of backlash to this, but ultimately I think this is going to be a good thing. Now, Elion need to do some stuff to it because at the moment it ain't right. Okay, the volumes and weights thing have got yeah, it's a bit out of hand. I think it's not necessarily the volume, although it's not necessarily the volume, it's the weight and mass and how much volume some stuff takes up in the inventory. But I wanted to do a quick episode today about the early start in the game and progressing from early game to mid game, because it's all kind of shifted around. Mid game is what we used to call early game, I think, now, to be honest. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so if you're used to the old game, you'd kind of arrive on the planet like this. You'd hit up some rocks, you'd pick these rocks up for a good sort of hour or so until you were ready to spawn in a nice hover vessel that could pretty much get you into the mid-game very easily. And the mid-game, I would say, is when you're putting down a base. You're putting down a base and you're building it up. That's your mid-game. Early game is everything up to that point. Well, that's shifted now. Early game is everything up to the point, I think, until you get that HV. Because it's going to take you so much longer now to get that HV. Just picking up those 5 iron rocks there has hit me up to almost 100 out of my 500 volume. So you can see, yeah, it's not going to take long to get a full inventory. So I have to kind of plot, and figure out what the best area in order to place my survival constructor is going to be. And that's the other thing. The survival constructor costs 3 iron, 2 silicon and 1 copper. So rather than filling up on iron, every iron deposit that I see, which isn't a huge amount at the moment, I'm going to have to be really strategic now in order to level up enough to unlock that. I am currently level 1, so you know, yeah, I'm gonna need to get 2 more levels in order to unlock portable constructor, because once I get that portable constructor, that will become my base essentially, until I'm able to get my hover vessel, which is level 5 is the one I want, because the level 3 one isn't going to be able to hold anything more than my inventory really. So we have to plan a little bit differently. I'm looking around, there's some water in that direction, and I know that silicon exists in water. So let's head over there. Oh, that was a big jump. I'm going to ignore that iron rock there. I'm also going to ignore those bugs there as well, because they can become a bit aggressive now. So I don't want to get attacked. I've only about 150 health, although I can heal myself. Also, bandages now do also give you some health back, which is nice. So let's head over to this water and see if we can find some silicon. I'm going to do my little bunny hop thing. I know that annoys some of you, but it just speeds things up so much. So I do apologize if doing the bunny hop annoys you, but I'm not walking. It takes too long. So here's some silicon. Okay, we'll hit some silicon. Brilliant. Okay, now I've got my silicon. I'm up to 200 of my 500 already. So this is what I'm talking about. You need to plan from now on. You can't just hit up every resource and every item you see in front of you. It's a case of going, what do I need? Let's go and get that, bring it back to base, and then figure it out from there. I'm now looking for some copper. So let's see if we can find some copper. A good way of seeing if there is any way around is to just hit up your drone, hit F5, look around. Copper looks like kind of little, well, not little, but they look like big mushrooms from a distance. I suspect we're going to find some over there in the woods. So I'm going to head in that direction now. Let's get into this forest and see if we can find some goddamn copper. And then it's a case of leveling up. Now that, it might be a case of attacking things like this guy over here. Defense mode on. This guy is a nice handsome chappy, isn't he? Hey, how you doing, bud? He's a level 1 Telluropod. Ooh, he can move. Look at that little bastard. He's running away. Good. Yeah, the spiders come in groups and they run away as you hit them, so that you've got plenty of time to kill them, basically, and sort them out, so that was interesting. I seem to have hit an invisible wall. Not the first time I've hit an invisible wall. They do seem to exist for some reason, so just watch out for that. I'm sure Elion will sort that soon. Copper. We're looking for copper. We've got to stay on track because this is, I think, the way of Alpha 9 and beyond will be. Empyrion is planning. Preemptively going out with a plan of what you're looking for to get, here we go, copper. Bingo. And I think because we are very at the beginning of the game, I don't think we're going to get very many spiders around here. But now I have all that I need in order to create this. I just need the levels. So if I look at my stats again, I'm only just level 2. So, yeah, we need to find stuff to kill, basically. The other way to level up is to pick plants. So once you do reach that level 3, either be picking plants or killing animals or a combination of the two, then definitely head straight into that miscellaneous toolbar tree and unlock that portable constructor. You're gonna need it. Otherwise, it's the usual stuff from then on. I would probably prioritize hover vessel stuff depending on which approach you want to do. If you want to go down a factory, it doesn't really matter too much. But if you want to build it yourself, then the hover vessel is definitely the first port of call. But I'm going to go for a multi-tool, and I'm going to see if I can unlock a shotty. There we go. Perfect. Assault rifle on there. Alright, so now that we've got our portable constructor, or rather we can build it, let's crack that on. So I am going to set up here, I think, because if we look at this, it's right on the edge of the water. It's nice flat ground which we can expand very easily into. We're on the edge of a forest for copper rocks. We're near water for silicon rocks, and we're near the plains for iron rocks. So this is, I think, a pretty good place to set up our first little base camp. And that is it. You just place this down, and then as you would normally do, I just pop everything in there, and I'm going to hit up some plastic straight away because this stuff is going to be really valuable. So as you see grain, pick it up, because plastic, you're going to be using this more and more because iron and stuff like that weighs so much that early hover vessels are largely going to be made out of plastic, I predict. The only problem is obviously plastic is quite difficult to get hold of because grain, until you've got a farm, you just have to find it in the wild. But my travels here, I managed to pick up enough grain to make 120 plastic. So we're already on our way. With the other stuff as well, as you get the ores, convert them into ingots straight away. And then you can start work on a blueprint from your factory. But all of your blueprints at the moment are probably going to be next to useless for Alpha 9 because their cargo boxes are the default ones. Now, that isn't necessarily the end of the world for early game, but mid-game it's going to be useless because those cargo boxes have such a small and non-expandable capacity. So I can see that I haven't got any iron right now. I've got a little bit of copper, a little bit of silicon. The next thing that I'm going to want is going to be a drill and a chainsaw, and then I'm going to need to start making some biofuel by getting some wood. So let's start with going out and getting some iron and bringing that back here, and then we'll try and top up our silicon and copper, and then we'll get some wood, we'll get the chainsaw and drill, and then we can start getting more of it more quickly. So iron is going to be in this direction over towards the plains, and this is what I mean. You're going to have to try and plan every single thing that you do with the limited storage capacity that you've got. Now notice also that I've only taken with me, I don't even probably need the tent or the torch or the heater. I'm going to keep the heater on me at the moment because I've got temperature effects on high, so yeah, I'll keep that. I've got some food with me as well, but other than that I'm pretty much running with an empty pack. We've got some silicon here. I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to need it anyway, so may as well. But other than that, I'm going to just concentrate the rest on iron. And obviously, once your inventory is full, you can't pick up any more, then that's it. So, just wasted that iron rock. Oh, right, can pick up that one. There we go. We're now definitely full. Alright, let's head back. So once you've got enough of those materials, you can head back and put on a drill and a chainsaw, some biofuel, which you can pick up some plant fibers from around it, and you can get started on those. Now the drill and the chainsaw, obviously the chainsaw will make it a lot easier if you get trees to make the biofuel, the drill a little bit quicker to get those rocks, and eventually when you do find a deposit, mine out the deposit as well. So let's see how this transfers now, because essentially what we'll have to do once we got these two is a lot of back and forth in order to gather enough of these resources, the copper, the silicon and the iron, in order to build our first hover vessel. So I have created a small hover vessel called the Mule. It's relatively cheap, but considering how much storage you actually need in order to make a hover vessel effective, it's obviously not the cheapest thing you're going to see, but hopefully it'll give me that extra storage I need just to move around a little bit more and actually mine some of the deposits, even just a bit. And that will hopefully allow me to then upgrade to a base where storage can then actually be a thing. So I'm going to put this into factory. It is level 5, so I'm going to have to level up, and it's going to take a lot of back and forth mining rocks, and maybe if I find some deposits to get that 100 and something or other ore, it's going to be bit by bit. But like I said, at the moment, and this is subject to change, the portable constructor here has no volume. So you can put as much into it as you need to. Now, that might change at any moment. Any one of these experimental builds coming out could change this, and suddenly this has a volume as well. But for now, use this as your bottomless pit for resources. You now have to go out, gather, bring it back here, refine it, put it into your factory. That's the order of things. Once I get this hover vessel, I can then a little bit more mobile. I can actually start hitting deposits up, and then I can use that to start a base. Yeah. Chainsaw is your friend, everybody. Chainsaw is your friend. Okay, so I now have 3 portable constructors here. I have one that is purely for creating biofuel, another one that is used for refining the ingots, and another one that I'm going to be using for meds and food. That's a pretty good way of setting up. That way you can increase your productivity and your storage at the same time. And obviously, as I'm going out and getting more ores, I can chuck this stuff into the factory and get my little HV. So after a much back and forth, loading up these constructors with the ore from rocks I could find. In hindsight, after doing this, I think actually it might be better off if you use one of the prefab ones, like your tier 1, tier 0 prefabs, because that, at least that, even though you can't store anything in there, at least that will make the back and forth a little bit less painful and time consuming. Now it's taken me roughly about 3 or so hours to get the materials for this hover vessel here. This is a very basic hover vessel. I'm just going to God mode into it so I can show you its construction. So we've got a couple of fridges on the side here, but at the back here is our access to our cargo container. We can see that we've got 3,250 litres. Now we've obviously got 500 litres, so that's quite a significantly more storage than we have personally, which is nice, which is good. So this thing is basically going to become our backpack. We've got an armor locker here, a detector on the roof, but that's about it. Inside we've got a generator, 2 RCSs, a fuel tank, Wi-Fi connector, which is very important, and the rest of it, everything that's see-through now, is the cargo container extensions. So it is like a little hatchback car. It's not massive, it's not hugely expensive, but it will hopefully extend my backpack enough to make this a little less painful to progress. Painful is not necessarily the right word, because it's just a new way of playing the game. Had I never played Empyrion before, I would have probably just be okay with this whole thing. Okay, fine, yeah, okay, it's a bit of a grind, but then it's a survival game, and it makes sense that I don't have all that much carrying capacity, and that all these vehicles and stuff are going to need to do a lot of that for me. But anyway, I think now that we have this hover vessel, it's going to be a lot easier to mine some of these deposits that are discovered up here and actually get them into these little constructors. Essentially, this is going to be a little mobile camper van. I'm going to take these things with me, set up at deposits, set them down, use this as a backpack in order to mine the deposits out, put them in here to refine them. And the next step, I think, is to build a base. Now, I might build a base out of concrete or iron, or use one of the prefabs here, but I suspect one of the prefabs here are going to be very low on storage because none of these have been updated yet, as far as I'm aware. So it might be better to build a base just off the cuff. But anyway, that is early game. Let me just quickly show you before I disappear. Logistics pane, I can now set, if I've got the mule here, container, if I set that to linked, I get this extra toolbar. So if I put things like my drill and chainsaw and survival tool in there, and then while I'm linked to the mule, I can switch between my weapons that I have personally and drills and stuff. Now if I'm using the drill while it's in a connected container, anything the drill picks up will go into the connected container and not my inventory. To demonstrate, I've just come to this iron deposit here. I'm going to switch to my connected toolbar now, and I'm going to mine this iron out, and we should see that this iron goes into the hover vessel and not my inventory, which means I should be able to mine out a lot more of it than I would otherwise be able to, but still not all of it. So there we go, picked up some iron, and if I check my inventory, this is my inventory, there is no iron here. If I check the hover vessel through logistics, the iron has gone in there. So I can mine this out now until, well, I have enough for what I need it for, or I fill up the volume in the hover vessel. There's another chunk of iron, and that has gone, yep, that's now up to 12. So there we go, that's how connected logistics works. Your backpack isn't really used anymore. It's all about these vehicles. So if I was to build something again, I would use the connected inventory. I'd have my building materials in here. I'd have them linked on my connected toolbar, and I'd place them through that way rather than using my own inventory. And that's it. So that's all. That's this video. That's all I'm going to go through today. This is now mid game, in my opinion. I think early game is done. We have a hover vessel. We have the means in which to travel and refine our goods and materials that we mine and harvest. We have a way of storing a little bit more of them. I think now it'll be a case of extending that, get some armor to really eliminate the survival things, extending it into a base, and going from there. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful and entertaining, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye bye.